Carney's campaign suspended. Poilievre rises as Canada faces a major political shift. Mark Carney, leader of the Liberal Party and flag-bearer for his party in the election, took on the Globe and Mail. The interview was nothing short of explosive. Carney was on the defensive, and the reporter from the Globe didn't hold back. Carney's failure to handle the situation gracefully only added fuel to the fire. In response to Carney's aggressive remarks, the Globe and Mail released a bombshell article about Carney's ties to Beijing, something that has been a growing topic of concern during this election. The article wasn't a small blurb. It was an extensive piece that caught the attention of many and was made freely available online for everyone to see. The Globe's decision to push this narrative about Carney's connections to China and his alleged involvement with the Liberal Party sent shockwaves through the political landscape. To add more fuel to the growing controversy, CBC's Power and Politics dedicated a segment to discussing Carney's connection to China, specifically highlighting his ties to the JCCCC, Chinese Communist Party-linked organization. According to reports, there was a secret meeting between Carney and this group just before he was about to launch his campaign for Prime Minister. This meeting wasn't supposed to be public knowledge, but when the Liberal Party got wind of the story, they moved quickly to suppress it. They reached out to the organization responsible for publishing the article and managed to have it taken down. However, by the time they acted, the damage had already been done. The media storm that followed was impossible to contain. But Carney's woes didn't end there. The media, particularly outlets like CTV and Global, took issue with how he handled the confrontation with the reporter. Journalists from these organizations have a unique bond. They understand the importance of accountability and fair play. When Carney crossed them, the media world went into attack mode. His treatment of the journalist was seen as disrespectful and combative, which only added to his growing list of problems. This led to a series of critical articles being released about Carney's business dealings. CTV, for example, published an in-depth piece on Carney's former employer, Brookfield, and its controversial tax practices. The report focused on how Brookfield had used offshore tax havens in the Cayman Islands, a move that many consider shady at best. The timing of this article was strategic. It was released early in the morning to ensure it got maximum attention. The article was blunt, highlighting that the use of tax shelters in such locations was a serious issue, one that had already been associated with major global controversies. Barack Obama himself had once described the Cayman Islands as the largest tax scam in the world, and Carney's connection to this issue put his campaign under even more scrutiny. These revelations marked a significant shift in the political race. Carney, once considered a frontrunner, found himself at the center of a storm. His campaign was unraveling, and media outlets were relentless in pushing damaging stories. With the media no longer on his side, Carney's vulnerability became painfully evident. The tide was turning, and his rivals were beginning to smell blood in the water. As the election continues, the role of the media becomes even more critical. The media has the power to shape public perception, and right now, they're framing Carney as someone who cannot be trusted. His inability to handle tough questions, the scandal surrounding his ties to China, and the ongoing focus on his business dealings have created a perfect storm. His absence from the campaign trail for a 3-day break only added to the growing perception that he wasn't prepared for the job of Prime Minister. While Carney took a step back to recharge, his political rivals, especially Pierre Poilievre, were seizing the moment to solidify their positions. Poilievre, the conservative leader, has been working overtime to stay in the spotlight. He hasn't taken any breaks, and he's been out front, responding to the media and staying on the campaign trail. Poilievre's energy and commitment stand in stark contrast to Carney's sudden disappearance. It's becoming more apparent that Poilievre is not just in this race to participate, he's in it to win it. He's positioning himself as the leader who is ready to take on the challenges of the country, and his hard work is paying off. Meanwhile, Carney's time off has raised more questions than answers. Could it be a sign that he's losing steam? That he's unable to handle the intense pressure of a national election? The optics aren't good, and they're making it easier for Poilievre to gain ground. The impact of the media narrative on Carney's campaign cannot be overstated. With each news story, the pressure mounts. The narrative is now focused on his past, his ties to questionable business practices, and his failure to navigate tough political waters. All of these factors are contributing to the perception that Carney isn't fit to lead the country. Meanwhile, Poilievre's campaign is gaining momentum. The latest polls show the Conservatives are gaining ground, with Poilievre surging in popularity. A poll from Juno News recently indicated that the Conservatives are now at 40%, ahead of the Liberals at 38%, with the NDP trailing at 14%. The gap between the two main contenders is shrinking, and it's becoming clear that the election is now a two-horse race. With early voting already underway, every vote counts. The election is tightening up, and this race is anything but over. However, Carney's campaign is clearly on the ropes. His inability to handle the media, his controversial past, and his poor judgment in taking a break during such a critical time are all contributing to his downfall. On the other hand, Poilievre's relentless campaigning is paying off. He's taking advantage of every opportunity and positioning himself as the strong, steady leader that Canadians are looking for. As the election heats up, we can't ignore the larger issues at play. There are serious concerns about how the media and government funds are being allocated. The CBC, for example, receives over $178 million annually, more than Canada's intelligence agency, CUS. This raises troubling questions about the priorities of the current government. Is media influence taking precedence over national security? It's a question worth asking as the political landscape continues to shift. In conclusion, this election is at a critical juncture. Mark Carney's campaign is crumbling under the weight of media scrutiny, while Pierre Poilievre is rising to the occasion, capitalizing on every opportunity to gain support. With the political landscape in flux and the media playing a key role in shaping public opinion, the race for Prime Minister is far from over. Will Carney bounce back, or is this the end of his political career? Only time will tell, but one thing is clear: the stakes have never been higher. Stay tuned for what comes next in this fascinating political drama.